Today, you're going to meet people from all over the world, and you're going to learn about a group that founded, a group of artists that founded that is taking on the world internationally. And our guest today is Nancy Atherton West. Nancy is the head of this group. Nancy, welcome.
Thank you, Eric. It's such an honor to be here with you today.
Now, you're in San Diego. Some of our guests are going to be in other places, but why don't you just briefly tell everybody about the group, what it is, how it started, and then we'll introduce our other guests.
Sounds great. So I'm happy to be here talking about the Dreamline Artists, which is a Facebook group that I started quite serendipitously on May 30th of 2020. Eric had been, as you all know, coming to you live at noon Eastern time every single day. At that point, it was 7 days a week. And he was pretty much saving our lives while we were all in lockdown. And people were watching from all over the world. I think I discovered your show probably early to mid-April. So I'd been watching about a month and a half. And if you watch on Facebook, at least I know on Facebook, you can see the comments. And so you see the same people every day and the comments, everyone's becoming friends and just enjoying the show so very much. And then Eric started saying, well, you know, I was only going to do this for 2 weeks. Remember, we were going to stem the curve in 2 weeks of the COVID. And this was now a couple months in. And we were all like, no, Eric, you cannot stop. We need each other. We need to hear you and your guests, and you're saving our life here. So somebody said maybe we could start a Facebook group, and someone said something like Dreamliner, and this is just in the comments. And I just grabbed my iPhone and I created the group, and I said, okay, guys, it's called Dreamline Artists. And this was unbeknownst to Eric at all. And people started joining. And then I think Eric was wondering, because we're all talking about the Dreamliners in the comments, he probably was wondering, who are these people? I better keep an eye on them. And it's just grown from there. It was just an ad hoc group and a group of friends from all over the world. And we are now over 3,100 people. And we're just artists who want to share. And it's just a very warm and friendly and safe place to share our art and our pursuits.
All right. Well, Nancy, we're going to learn more about it, how other people can be part of it. We're going to learn about all the different things that you do together. Let's get this show started.
Okay.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhoads.
Welcome to Art School Live. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air magazine, plus lots and lots of newsletters for artists and collectors and others. So welcome. We're here every weekday at 12 noon, and we're glad that you're here today. We're talking about the Dreamline Artists, which is a group I have nothing to do with. It's a group that started on their own, as you will learn more, and you learn from Nancy West. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. And today we have several guests from the Dreamline group. And of course, those of you who are Dreamliners, you should check in the comments. Tell us that you're a Dreamliner. If you're not, they're going to tell you how you can become a part of it. Next, let's get back to Nancy Atherton West. Nancy, I forgot to mention that I have a couple of things to give away, but I'm just trying to find them here. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Amadine, our producer. Today I'm giving away a 1-year subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur or the Fine Art Connoisseur digital edition. It's a magazine for collectors, but a lot of artists get it because they like to look at all the beautiful pictures. This one happens to be a wildlife issue, so it's got a buffalo on the cover. It's published bi-monthly. And so you have a chance to win that. The winner of the last prize is Nellie Gill. All right, Nellie in San Antonio, Texas, who wins the value specs that help you see your values. I should also mention that we have a free video for you. Anybody watching anywhere in the world, it's called 97 Incredible Art Secrets from the World's Finest Artists. We produce hundreds of art instruction videos And we wanted to make sure that you got a chance to sample the difference, see what's really, really good. And so we took some of our top videos and we cut it into a 5-hour video, 50 top artists. Even if you have our videos, you should have this because it's got some great tips, and it's yours for free at 97artsecrets.com. Now you can get free digital. Of course, we deliver a very high percentage of our products digitally on our app, or you can get the DVD if you want to pay the shipping. Okay, that's all I've got. Oh, I should mention, yes, you can subscribe to this program on YouTube. We're at 92,000 and change. We're trying to hit 100,000, and that would be cool. If you're not a subscriber, go to YouTube, search Eric Rhoads or Streamline Art or Art School Live, and you'll find us there. And that's where you can subscribe. Also, if you would follow me on Instagram, Facebook, that would be really cool. Okay, Nancy, tell us about our guest today.
Well, I have two members of our advisory panel. I should mention that I don't do this all by myself by any means.
How could you with 3,100 members? It's a lot of work. People don't understand what goes into it.
Well, and you'll hear a lot more about some of the things that we're doing. And I have a wonderful panel. With me here today is Linda Marie Crabb, who's been with us from the very beginning. She comes from Maida, Italy. And also Jeff Eikop, who has been very instrumental, especially in running our book clubs. He is in the Netherlands.
Well, so this truly is an international group.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm curious because we get a lot of people internationally watching this. As a matter of fact, I just saw South Africa. I just saw Ontario. We have people from all over. I'm curious, Jeff, let's start with you. How did you discover this? And you have it's what, 6 o'clock at night there when this show comes on. So how did this all work out for you?
So just coincidentally, as I was approaching 50 a few years ago, I decided I finally wanted to commit to learning how to paint. And one of the first things that I found searching on the internet was the Plein Air Convention and Expo. And so I registered for that, and then I started following you. And then lo and behold, the pandemic happened and that was postponed. But fortunately, you just started doing these daily broadcasts. And another coincidence, I happened to run into one of the other Dreamliners here in The Hague. I was just on the street one day following this guy Antonio, like as he was painting, and Gerda pulls up on our bike and says, "Hey, you're on Facebook. I know you." And then she told me about this group, and that's how I ended up getting to be part of the group. So it's
really a small world. I should mention that I was in Mexico. Lori and I were down there, and we were just taking a week off, and I'm walking down the street in Mexico, and this guy is eyeballing us, and Lori says, just this guy's watching us walk fast, right? Because we didn't know what was going to happen. And just as we walk by him, he's in the back of his truck getting some things out, and he says, "I know you." He says, "Are you Eric?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, I watch you every day on the broadcast throughout COVID." And so we ended up hiring the guy to give us a tour. It was really funny, but it really truly is an international audience now, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's terrific. And, it really makes the world super small. I mean, we talk to each other, every day or every week, and we know each other. And, it's a really great group because there's people of all levels, there's people of all genres and mediums, and it's just a way to connect. It makes everything so small and approachable.
So Linda, how did you happen into this?
Well, I guess I was one of the very first because I did a fine art workshop in Edinburgh with Juliet Aristides the July before COVID hit. And then in March, and I was here by myself in Italy. I've lived here 40 years now. Juliet sent me an email saying, "Linda, I'm going to be on this program and you can watch it." And I was like, oh my gosh, I can watch art here in my house. And so, I wasn't very technological back then in the beginning. And I didn't know that we could comment. And I'm seeing people and they were saying, hello, Linda. And I'm, oh my gosh, they're talking to me. And it was sort of coming out of a shell. It was amazing. And I've been here ever since. And when you said that you were going to stop in May, the group of us, I think there were 6 or 7 or no, he can't do that. We have to keep in touch. How can we keep in touch? And we've all been in touch since, and some incredible friendships have been formed, and people are meeting up now whenever they can. And it's been great. Like Nancy said, it's been a life changer in many ways because a lot of us have stepped out of our shells. I signed up for an in-person atelier for 1 year. I would never have done that. Gerda in The Hague just did a 1-week plein air painting workshop. Kathy Teasdale in Canada is doing a sculpting workshop. A lot of us have signed up and are getting involved in art, and it's thanks to Dreamliners because it is our safe place, and it's thanks to you because we're addicted to watching.
Well, what I think is interesting is you can get, I try to get a lot of variety on this program, and you can get a sampling of someone and then decide, oh, I want to learn how to study under them and, and get more depth. Or oftentimes they're on some of the events that we're doing, like Pastel Live coming up. So I'd like to just share a 1-minute video with everybody. This is a video about Dreamliners getting together, and then you guys can comment on it. All right. All right. Oops, I guess I got to take you guys out first.
Okay.
So okay, we had a special gathering of the Dreamliners at the Plein Air Convention. We had a suite and a private event. Everybody got together there. I see there are a lot of other things. Tell us about some of the gatherings. I'll let any of you figure out who wants to talk about it.
Well, I have a favorite that I think is really special. There are 3 Dreamliner ladies here in the greater Los Angeles area of California who planned a trip to France, to Paris, with their husbands, and they met via the Dreamliners. They have they paint in different mediums, and but they planned a whole trip to Paris, and they spent, I think, at least a week together. You saw some pictures there with them at their little red berets, and then they went off in their separate areas of travel. But I thought that was really special. That's a big deal,
Well, and I noticed people painting together. And so how does that all occur? Do you get on the Dreamliners Facebook page and say, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Anybody want to paint? How does that all work?
You absolutely can do that. We're trying to work on a way to have a kind of like a utility where you can look in our group page and look for people who are in your general area or where you might be traveling. So that's something we're working on. But a lot of people have met up that way. Last year, summer, I participated in the Oceanside Plein Air Festival, first ever here in San Diego County. And so I just put out the word to the Dreamliners. I said, who else is going to be participating? And one of those pictures you might have seen was a large group of Dreamliners here at my home having dinner. I just hosted a dinner for everyone one night, and it was so incredible, particularly, coming out of the pandemic, to be able to not only paint together, but then get together during the midweek and have dinner and talk about our pursuits and get to know one another a lot better, which was great.
Somebody mentioned a minute ago something about in the comments about how their artwork has transformed. Can you guys talk about that?
Oh, completely. I think, first of all, the daily videos that you were doing during the pandemic was, I think, very transformative, independent of this group, because suddenly people who were stuck at home, the way art content is delivered these days was massively accelerated because of the pandemic, and you guys and Streamline were kind of at the forefront of this through these daily videos. And like you said, the sampling, but it showed us, there's just so much great content that your artist guests are sharing. And so people had the time, they would look at it and they would go practice it, but then we're all sharing it in the group together as well. And then Nancy has been doing like a monthly challenge where she'll, solicit photos that we can submit as long as we took the photo and we give people rights to paint it. Then, once a month you have a different photo to paint, and then everybody can sort of see what other artists are doing to interpret it. So those are just great ways for me, 2 years ago, I was a total beginner. So it was great to be able to learn from all the people in this group and see what.
Well, it looks like you're doing some knockout paintings there. It's hard to see what's on your easel there, but they look pretty good.
Well, it just goes to show that, even an old guy like me can learn with the great knowledge that's shared in this group. So
yeah, old guy, right, old guy.
Anyway, I did want to mention, Eric, when you asked about how do we meet up and do we just make a call, I have to say your constant, hey, put where you're from in the comments, that has been so big for us being able to meet up, because when we finally could travel, as you know, as we talked at Pace, I have a full-time job and I travel a lot for my job, and I have family in the Pacific Northwest, and I have a headquarters in the Houston area. So I now can sort of, as I'm traveling around, I have sort of a mental inventory of all the people I want to meet. And last year, for example, I wanted to go see the Four Directions show in Steamboat with Ralph Oberg and Matt Smith and those guys. And so when I flew in, I met up with Karen, and I met up with Lamia, and I met up with Zenobia, and it was great to be able to know where people are from. So kudos to you for asking people to put where they are in the comments. That really helps connect.
Well,
people.
it's a good time to do that, everybody. If you're watching right now, we'd like to know where you're watching from. I typically mention the internationals just because there's so many others, but also you leave a comment, you can win a prize. And today's prize is a copy subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur magazine. Had to slip that in. Linda, tell me about your artwork journey.
Well, I painted as a teenager. I've always sketched, and then it got put to the side for many, many years. And about 6 years ago, I decided I'm going to start painting. And I bought one of the first books I bought was one of your artist books, Juliet Aristides. And I would just paint every day here in my studio. And the transformation for me has been in these past 2 years of painting every day and actually going out and with info that I've gotten about plein air painting equipment and easels. I bought an easel and I had it shipped from there to here. And when I go to Seattle, my mother is near Seattle. I fill my suitcases with things. I put your stickers on them, so it says art material in my bags. And so I've gotten so much information from the artists on the show. I'm painting every day. It's been a wonderful experience. And through, and I'm going to shout out Elaine Miller very quickly because we're friends and we messenger back and forth. And Elaine asked me to send her some of my small paintings. I did. And it was exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing lots of commissions for friends, but that was wonderful for me.
She put them in her gallery, is what you're saying.
Yes, in the international basket. And so I met a lot of painters here in Italy, artists here in Italy, through the comments, because on the noon show, I would see from Italy, and then I'd type in very quickly, where in Italy are you? And I met Lolly Colentina, who lives on the way down south, way down of Italy, but she comes up to Milan every once in a while. And so we went out and painted. I'm planning to go to see Jeff and Gerda in The Hague and Nancy, and I'm going to drop Dario at a golf course there, and we're going to go out and paint. So the connection among friends has been wonderful in this group. It's a safe place. Ray said he feels safe in the group. You can post your art. If you want critique, you can get critique. But it's about being positive and encouraging all of us to paint and put our work out there.
So when you say it's a safe place, you mean it's free from all the negativity that you see online and the vitriol and the politics and all that nonsense. It's just all about your art and the group and getting together as a group. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
Nancy, what about your journey?
Well, can I just add to what Linda was saying about, because something is kind of dawning on me here as we're having this conversation. You talked about transformative, what has allowed us to really transform through Dreamliners. And I think somehow we were able to create a tone and that positive tone in the group. And I think through the accessibility that you've given us to the professional artists that you bring on, and being able to really interact with them is something we couldn't do before, but being able to do that through your program, and then many of them, lots of your professional artists are members of Dreamliners. And so we interact with them, and I think somehow we've been given permission in a way to grow in ways that I don't think we would have. Does that make sense? It's like because we know we're all there for each other, and because we're exposed to all the different mediums. For instance, as Jeff mentioned, through the monthly challenges, we start with a photo, but then by the end of the month, you see how, dozens of artists have interpreted that. And every single one is special in its own way. And we learn from that. And so I think we've just given ourselves kind of permission to grow. I know that I've been out doing plein air, what am I trying to say? The festivals and the week-long events. And I would never have thought that would be something I would do. But now I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to go out there and do it.
So you got the encouragement from the group, and it kind of gave you permission to go to the next level.
I think it has. I really think it has. And I think part of it for me is, meeting, even if it's just online, all of these artists that are just humans, just like we are, but they've made a job out of it. They've made a career out of it. And maybe we can't all do that. Maybe, we're working, or it's just not in the cards, but it's given us permission to go further. I definitely feel.
So one thing I didn't realize until I spoke with you about this is the massive amount of work that it takes when you've got 3,000 members, and you probably have some that are highly active and others that are barely active, but it takes a lot of people to put something like that together. Can you each talk about that and your roles in all of that?
Well, I've been moderating the group almost from the beginning because none of us knew how quickly it would grow. And it just exploded. So from what, 7 of us, Nancy, or 8, uh, in less than 2 months, it exploded to 450. And I came on and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting so many posts and so many requests. And I was having to look at them all the time. And I was going, gosh, maybe we need to ask someone else to come on board and help us, because you do need to check posts, because we're not political. We're posting our art. And so the comments have to be appropriate, and we all help each other out. And between our admin group, we will chat amongst ourselves and say, did you see that post? Is that okay? It's okay for me, but is it okay for everybody else? So there's a lot of collaboration going on.
Awesome. Anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, there's constant membership requests, and we do, require people to abide by the sort of the values and the rules of the group, because we want to maintain this really kind of healthy, collaborative and encouraging spirit. And so, it does take a lot of work to kind of go through all those posts. And I don't know, Nancy, if you want to kind of call out the supporting cast that isn't here today, but the other members of the group who are doing that on a daily basis, because it is a lot of work. And go ahead, Nancy, if you
Yeah,
want.
I would. In fact, it reminds me of, Linda, you were talking about the very, very beginning. Andy Gonzalez in California was one of our first members, and I brought him on as a moderator very early as well. And I remember when I started the group, every Facebook group has a banner, a photo banner. And I thought, what the heck am I going to put up there? Because we were just this ad hoc group. And so I just went through my photos, grabbed a picture of an old rusted tractor in the flower fields in Carlsbad. If anyone's familiar with them, it's, well, you've got a lot of tulips in the Netherlands, but we have ranunculus in Carlsbad that are quite famous. And it was just a pretty picture. And I put it up there, and Andy immediately commented, okay, we have our first monthly challenge. And so then we figure out how to, administer a monthly challenge, which was, it was a bit of work to figure out how to do it. And now we've done that for, the full 2 years. Ray Richardson has been with us from the very beginning. Ginny Good, who was on, and Carolyn Majeski was on with you, Eric, on day 200, which was very fun. Let's see, who am I missing? Maggie Hernandez, who is is now in Texas, actually. I don't know if, Eric, you've been able to meet up with her.
Not yet, but and she was over in Saudi Arabia for the longest time, yes. Kind of stuck there during COVID. So once I get back to Texas, Maggie and I will get together for lunch, and that's not till probably late October, early November.
Sounds good. And then Gerda in the Hague also. And so it's really awesome that we are all the way around the world, because as Linda was mentioning, we get requests all times of the day for membership. We have to review their request, and then we also have to review posts and make sure that there isn't something inappropriate going on. And I really appreciate you guys being, around the clock with me, truly.
Yeah, well, literally around the clock. That's a nice advantage of having people in different time zones, I suppose. Someone asked a question, how do I know what number I am?
Oh, gosh.
Ooh. Well, there are an awful lot of metrics. If I were to go back and look, we might be able to figure that out. I know that you friended me, and I know you were just kind of wondering, who is this person that started this group, and now they're all talking on my show. So I do remember one morning waking up and my friend request had been accepted, which was very nice. But I don't know how we can know what everybody was. We used to joke about it. I can remember
too. In the beginning, there were so few of us. We'd say, "Oh my gosh, we're 20 now. You're number 20."
And I remember you guys getting excited when you had 20 people.
Yes, for sure.
Well, I have a hunch that there are a lot of people who are watching or will be watching on replay, And I have a hunch that 3,000 will end up being a small number. And it's a big number, but I have a hunch it's going to grow, especially once people start realizing the connectivity and the other benefits of it. I think everybody watching this should right now put in where they live and also the closest museum near you, so that when we're looking through the comments, we can go, oh, I got to go to The Hague because they've got this incredible museum. They have a Vermeer, and which I'm sure is probably true. I'm just guessing.
Yes, definitely.
Probably more than
Pearl,
one.
the pearl earring is here at the Maurits house. So there is a Vermeer here. Absolutely.
Yes. What a wonderful museum the Merit House is. Now, you do a book club. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I think the book club was formally started maybe by Julia Stevens and a couple of other people that just decided they wanted to read Carlson's Guide to Landscape Painting a couple of years ago. And it wasn't super formal and actually didn't end up getting completely finished with the book. But then a few of us decided to just get it started again last year. And I was actually, I don't know, raise your hand if you are addicted to art books, but then you don't actually get through all of them. You just have a big shelf of them. And so I thought, you know, what a great way to sort of force myself to read some of these. And so I was kind of advocating pacing it a little quicker than we had done it the previous year. So I created a schedule last year at the beginning of the year, and a lot of people got on board. And it turned out that it's just evolved into this great discussion group. It happens weekly, Saturdays between Labor Day and Memorial Day, sort of during the school year. We're doing, you know, regular book club where we're reading a book and then discussing it. We try to pace, let's say, a book every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the book. And then during the summer, Maggie Hernandez and a couple of others have sort of led continuing to develop or continuing to get the group together. I think it's honestly primarily Eric, because she doesn't have a place in the Adirondacks, and so she's stuck in the Texas heat, and she wants to keep getting together on Saturdays while the rest of us want to go out and paint. But Maggie has been awesome to keep things moving, and we're going to start up again the week after Labor Day. We're reading Mitchell Albala's Landscape Painter's Workbook. We're starting off with that. So if you're interested, you can find information about the book club in the events tab. So if you go to the Dreamliners group page, scroll to the top and you'll see events. And if you click on that, then I actually don't have the first one posted yet, but you'll see it show up probably this week. It'll be the Saturday after Labor Day.
So if somebody wants to join the group, they go to Facebook and search Dreamline Artists. Is that right?
Yeah, if you want to join the Facebook group, search for Dreamline Artists and then submit your request. You do have to answer a few membership questions. I think there's 3 membership questions, and please make sure you click that yes, you will comply with the group rules, and then one of us will review that. And once you're in the Dreamline Artists group, you don't have to join the book club. You just go there Saturday at noon Eastern and click on the Zoom link, and you're in, as long as you behave.
Well, I can see you guys doing a lot of other things. We'll have to talk privately about some other ideas, because I think you've got some great things going on, and what a wonderful gift to be able to get people together and to share information. How do you do the book club? Do you do it on a Zoom call?
It's a Zoom call. So either Maggie or I, create the Zoom event, and we put the link there in the Dreamline event, or in the Facebook event, in the Dreamline Artists events. And so you just go there and you click on it, and you'll just be welcomed into the group. And we do try to keep a little bit of order and have you raise your hand if you want to comment. Otherwise, it's just chaos, because there's 20 or 30 people typing over each other. And we also do this thing where we sort of, up to 15 minutes early, you can come in, and then there's social time. And then we try to start the discussion at the top of the hour and keep it to about an hour, focused mostly on the book. And then people who want to stay late and chit chat and socialize, we do that as well. So it's been a nice way for, people. There's a lot of people who they're not as mobile because of either maybe they're tied, taking care of a loved one, or physically they don't have as much mobility. And so there's people who this book club is a fantastic way to connect. So. So
Does someone have a pet goose?
You know, I have what we call the spokes dog. If he didn't bark, he would cease to exist. Would you like me to strangle him?
sounds like a rooster.
Yeah, sounds like a goose.
I have no one to shut him up.
No, it's all right. We don't care. All right. I think one of the, I'll just tell you a couple of stories because I think it kind of amplifies what you guys are doing. I have heard from, I'll bet I've heard from 1,000 people, maybe more, who have told stories of they discovered this program and then they discovered art. So I've had numerous people who've said, I never thought that I could paint or draw. I've never believed I had it in me, but I was watching these because it was COVID. I was bored. And by watching them and seeing what was happening, it started giving me the confidence. And so I started painting or drawing for the first time, all different mediums. I also heard from a lot of people who said things like, I painted when I was a little girl or a little boy or when I was in college. And then, life got in the way and I've raised a family and grandkids and, you name it, and work. And so now I'm getting back to it. And then we've also heard from some people who have decided to pursue it on a much higher level. I want to learn more. I want to, get more depth and understanding of this. And ultimately, I want to learn how to sell my art, which I think is really wonderful too. So we're hearing from a lot of people. I'd love to hear people's comments and your story in the comments section. But I think what you guys are doing is absolutely a phenomenon. And I really want to congratulate you for that.
It's been an absolutely great group so far. And I think it's going to get better and better. And more people, there are requests every day to join. Every time there is an event, we get more people signed up. We're sort of bombarded by requests, and that's wonderful. And it's a great group. It's just simply, to me, a great group. I'm glad to be part of it.
You want to open it up to some questions?
Oh,
Sure.
Sure.
If you guys have a question, post it in the comments and I'll try to catch it. Let's see here. One says, don't forget the Plein Air Club that meets on Fridays at 3 Pacific. What's that all about?
That group, I believe, who made that comment? Is that Lisa?
Gabriel Babber.
Okay. Well, there's a Plein Air group hosted out of the Long Beach, California area. And they meet on Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And they meet online on Zoom. And one of them hosts. So it could be hosted from anywhere, essentially. And usually it's a live photo, kind of like you've done on your live events for the paint outs in the evening, Eric.
And is that part of the Dreamline group? The Plein Air
Dreamline,
Club?
Yeah, the Plein Air. Well, it's kind of born out of our group, I believe. They have their own page. They do have their own page, but it's related. We're sisters. How's that?
Okay. All right. I like that. So Yvette says we need some swag. Yeah. We all need swag. Like
We've
a
talked
mug and a shirt.
We've talked about t-shirts. In fact, I'm wearing my Dreamliner button, as you can see, from Pace, which was wonderful. Thank you so much.
We have swag then.
Yeah, we've got a little swag, but as a Facebook group, every time we talk about doing anything that involves money, it gets complicated. That's a tough one. So
we have no budget. We're just a bunch of volunteers, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I understand that. And I think keeping it that way is probably a really good thing because money complicates everything. So someone says, how do we meet? And I think the starting point is, again, in case you missed it, go to facebook.com, search Dreamline Artists, and then get into the group. And then they will post things about the various things that they are doing. And I would love to see people getting together as much as possible. I think that, I'm a big advocate of plein air painting, as you know, and I like the idea. I love painting by myself, but I also love painting with other people. And I love the idea of being able to say, hey, I'm going to Wisconsin, and who's in Wisconsin? I want to paint. I'm going to be in this area. And I think that, more of that, but also getting local people together, making sure that you're connecting with other Dreamliners in your market, and even getting people in your town who are local artists or friends who are involved to join the Dreamline artists. That way it'll make it more fun. Somebody's coming to your town, there's more people to paint with.
I keep inviting everyone to Italy. So I'm here, I cook, and there are beautiful places here to come paint. So just send me a message and we can go out and paint in Italy.
Free dinner. I like
Yeah,
that.
and a free dinner. Yes.
We had, I don't know exactly how this happened. I think this was pre-Dreamliners, but I had somebody who followed me on Facebook, and they saw that I was taking a group of art collectors to Europe, and I put together for some of the people in that group are painters. And so I always put together a 2 or 3 day painting event, either before or after our art event, where we go around to the museums and things. And this woman saw that, so she cooked dinner for all of us. So Linda, you might end up with 30 or 40 people in your living room.
Yes, I can do a big barbecue, an Italian barbecue.
Sounds good.
It sounds pretty tasty right now, as a matter of fact.
Eric, I'm sorry can I give a shout out, because there are some people who are with me every single day at 6, and it would be Dennis and Karen Schumacher and Lamia and Nancy Halliday and Mary Lou Ark. There are just so many. I wish I could mention everyone, but we're sort of the group may change from day to day because people have family commitments, or they just can't make it. People are watching from their cars, and texting, I'm at the dentist. Linda, are you cooking? What are you cooking? And so just a big shout out and hello to all of them.
So you're using the 12 noon. Hello, everybody, by the way. You're using the 12 noon as kind of a chat room where you're getting together and chatting live. And then also there's continuous interaction in the Facebook group. Is that right?
Yes, but also then when between all of us and also on Dreamliners, there are announcements when there is a new video coming out in the evening, and we're like right there. And I've got my glass of wine, everybody's ready, and we chat up a storm.
I think it's so funny, because I just have to mention, there were so many times when we're chatting during one of your artists' presentations, and we learned a couple things. We learned that people talk about the weather and they talk about food. And that's about it. But then we'll get joking, and we're kind of, boundary back and forth. And we would have to stop and say, oh, Mr. or Miss Artist, we really are paying attention. We're not because this is just who we are.
Don't mind us. Yeah.
And Susan Hunter Guys says she loves the 3 p.m. extended previews. Are you also gathering on those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
When there are interviews after, or for me, those start at 9 p.m. And so it's after dinner. And there was, like, during COVID, a sort of running joke, because after the artist demo, there would be the bells. In some of the videos, there are the bells where it would be the end, and we would all be going, oh my gosh, it's finished. No. And then Karen or someone would come on and say, wait, there's an interview. And they've been wonderful.
Well, of course, we were doing one every day during COVID, and then we kind of decided to only do the new ones now. So we don't do them every day, but we're not repeating the other ones. Although all of that content is on YouTube, and anybody can go to YouTube and find it. And it's all in one place, which is handy. Let's see here. I'll see if I can go to the questions, comments. Wow, so they're going by so quickly. I'm not seeing any specific questions. They're just lots of comments. So
Eric, while you're looking, I was just going to make a comment. Besides the kind of safe place and encouragement, I really wanted to talk about how members can really find a lot of inspiration within this group. I think for me, as a relatively new painter, one of the things that's been fantastic about the group is that there's a lot of diversity in terms of where people are on their journey. And also what's amazing is, this, especially through the Streamline content, but also through the sharing that happens in this group, I think seeing the possibilities of how fast you can grow if you put in the time, and what types of exercises that you can do and practice you can do, and just putting in the brush miles. I think it's been a way to really see what's possible for a lot of us who are sort of early in our journey or in the middle of our journey. Because, when we see videos like, let's say, Thomas Kitts or Mark Shasha or whoever, if you see these videos, you sort of think as a beginner, well, they're way, way over there. That's not a place I'm going to get to anytime soon. But then you see people who a year ago, were kind of, when I look at their stuff and then I see what they're doing today and then I see that journey, it's like, wow, it's not as far to that place. And so this group has been a way there's been some amazing members who are putting in some work and showing people their journey and sharing that. It's made growth so much more accessible, and it's just a huge inspiration. It's probably what I love best about the group, besides the connection. It's just, it makes everything seem so accessible. It's very inspiring and motivating to just put in the work.
what have you discovered, Jeff? Because you're kind of the person who was kind of starting out, and now it looks like you're accomplishing some pretty amazing things. What have you learned that would be beneficial to other people about managing your growth? What do you do to grow? What are the steps you take?
Well, I think it might have been Kevin McPherson early on when I heard him say, you've got to do like 1,000 so-so paintings before you're gonna, really get good. So you might as well just get them out of the way. Just stop fussing and stop, reading books and hemming and hawing about, whether you should do this, and just get it over with. Just dig into it. Also, I think starting late in life, it helps because I'm sort of secure enough with who I am that I really don't care about judgment as much as I did when I was younger. That's probably the single biggest thing that inhibits people's growth, is kind of the fear of, maybe my spouse or my brother or my parents don't think that I can do this, and so I want to hide it. I don't want to show it. Just stop caring what anybody thinks and just do it. Just put in the miles and just try it. And find a good mentor to give you feedback on your work is also really, really nice. But the biggest thing for me was just getting in as many starts as possible. The other thing I would say is paint small, because you can get in a start every day and you can learn something every day. If you try to do a 24 by 36 and it takes you a week and it's a dud, it's kind of demoralizing. But if you do 7 of them in that same time and a couple of them turn out okay, then you keep going. So those are the things that I took away.
I would just add to what you said, which was very, very well articulated. There are also a lot of people out there who would be watching this or watch during the day when we do these programs, who are saying to themselves, their self-talk is, I don't have any talent. I can't draw a stick figure. I can't do this. And we have seen evidence on this program of people who have overcome that. And the one thing that we want to do is make sure that we're encouraging to everybody to understand that you can do this. This is a process. It's really not any different than learning to cook a recipe. It's a process. You follow the process. You take it slow. You don't put yourself under any massive pressure. We have this belief in our society for some reason. We don't do this with any other profession. We don't say, well, that brilliant brain surgeon just has natural talent, or that brilliant concert pianist has natural talent. The reality is that they went to school, they practiced, they made mistakes, they learned from their mistakes. And yet, for some reason, we think that artists just should naturally have all this talent. And there are a lot of talented artists out there, but the talent really comes through after you learn the systems. So somebody might get better than the rest of us because they have a little bit of natural talent, but in the beginning, it's like playing the piano. You got to learn the notes and you got to practice the notes. And I'm learning guitar, I just got to take it slow over and over again. And that's what happens. So you have anybody watching this, you have the ability, and I believe that anybody can learn to paint. And so cut yourself some slack, and just, if you want to do it, just do it. You can do it.
Yeah. And I agree, because we encourage in the group for everyone to post what they're doing. What are you working on? What are you having problems with? People can post and say, I need help, suggestions, and they'll get so many positive suggestions and encouragement, like, don't give up, just keep going.
That's right.
Which is fantastic.
Well, and that's the importance of having a unified group, and also to get that feedback. I think that's so good to be able to say, well, if you really do want to critique, let me tell you 2 or 3 things you could do to make it better. Well, excellent. Well, we're coming up close to an hour now. Do you want to, each of you, have some final thoughts? I'll start with Linda, then Jeff.
Well, my final thought would be, I'm really happy to be part of this. I'm so glad I've met everyone through this, and just go out there and paint, like Eric says, every day.
Terrific. Jeff?
Yeah, I would echo that and just say that very, very grateful for everything that the group has brought in terms of experience and camaraderie and community, and everything that Streamline and all the artists that work with Streamline have been able to provide in terms of daily stimulation and learning. It's just been a great couple of years. I really appreciate it.
Nancy?
Well, I just have to say that, thinking back to where we all were psychologically and emotionally in 2020 when this started, we didn't know where this group would go. We didn't know a lot of things. We were a lot of hope, a lot of fear, and a lot of loneliness. Painting is kind of a solitary endeavor, whether you're out in a group or you're alone in your studio. But many of us were used to being in a class or being in a workshop or painting in plein air, and we couldn't do that. And so what you brought us, Eric, with the daily show was really a lifesaver. And I have to say that, just as I call myself the girl that clicked the button, I happened to start the group, but I've received so many messages from Dreamline artists that say, Eric saved my life. This group saved my life. And I think emotionally it was just very, very important to have those connections. And I'm super grateful that we are still here today, and we're still growing, and we're getting together. And that's kind of what we envisioned as it grew. So it's all just coming to fruition. And join us. If you're not a member, please join us.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. We have made some conscious decisions to keep this going. As the reason I was going to stop it after 2 weeks was because of the tremendous amount of time it takes to not only do the broadcast, but to get the artists together and to coach them through the lighting and the sound and to, the promotion pieces. We now have 2 full-time people, other than myself, that work on this show to get it done, to get it produced. And they're doing a really terrific job. So I'm grateful to them and the entire Streamline team. And we're going to take it one day at a time, but we're keeping it going, doing live 2-3 days a week, and then replays. But it's very time consuming. I'm trying to run a couple of businesses and also be a painter, and this eats up a lot of time, and it's worthwhile doing. It's a lot of fun to do it, but it's hard to do it every day now. So we'll do it the best we can, and we'll keep it going. We really appreciate all of you too. We, you know, for the gifts that you may have received, we also received gifts. You know, you guys gave me the gift of being able to be there for you, and the gift of being able to step up. And I was scared like everybody else, and I felt like I needed to do something. I just didn't know what. And I don't remember who it was. One of the people on my team said, "Well, why don't you just go on Facebook every day or YouTube or something?" And so we did. It took us about a week during the initial lockdowns to get to that point, but it's been very gratifying for me. You know, I had a goal of teaching 1 million people how to paint. I think because of this program, we've taught well over 1 million people how to paint. I've just readjusted my goal to 2 million, and we'll see how we do that. I don't know. We haven't figured out a plan yet, but we'll come up with something. But
Well, huge shout out to the entire Streamline group, Allie and Dean and all Sarah, all of them are fantastic. And I just have to say, being able to meet them in person at PACE was fantastic. Wonderful.
Well, and while I've got you on, you know, it's interesting with the plein air convention. First off, before COVID hit, we were sold out in Denver at 1,200 people. And then COVID hit, we had to cancel. We couldn't go back to Denver. So then we decided to go to Santa Fe, and then they had to cancel that. And then we finally were able to, this May, have our event in Santa Fe. And it was very successful, but it was not 1,200 people. It was smaller than that because there were a lot of people who last minute, you know, couldn't make it, or they were concerned, or other issues. But I think that's going to change for Denver. And we would encourage everybody. We will have Dreamliner specific events from here on forward, you know, at the plein air convention, at the Publishers Invitational, Fall Color Week, all those things. And we'll continue to honor you guys. We really appreciate all you've done for us too. So I would encourage everybody. This is a great opportunity. You know, we know people because of Facebook and Instagram. We've gotten to know them, some people over years, but we've never met them in person. But to be able to meet in person, we had, how many did we have, Nancy, and Jeff at the Dreamliners reception in Santa Fe? We must have had
probably 40 or 50, maybe.
I was going to say 30, 40, 50. Yeah. And it was really wonderful to be able to just get everybody together, but also to get to know them, and what a great opportunity that was. So I would encourage you, we'll have a bigger party next time if you guys come, and it'd be fun to do that. And who knows, maybe we'll come up with some merch or some special things for you guys.
That would be.
I would echo, go to PACE. It was my first PACE. I thought it was going to be great. It far exceeded my expectations, and connecting with the artists that I've gotten to know just online, it was fabulous. So, you know, if it's tough financially, find some roommates, do what you can to get there. It's an amazing experience.
We also have some scholarships that we're going to announce. And so we've had some wonderful people willing to step up. You know, some of us have been blessed with a little extra. And so if anybody wants to step up and provide scholarships, just let us know, because there are people who should be there but can't. So we'd love to help them get there. Well, thank you, all of you. God bless you. Really appreciate your time today. And a reminder to everybody to go to Facebook, look up Dreamline Artist, and become a member. I have nothing to do with it. It's all them. And it has nothing to do with Streamline. It just is linked because of what happened during COVID. So thank you all for your time today.
Thanks, Eric.
Appreciate it.
Ciao a tutti.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And thanks for watching today. Remind you guys that we have Pastel Live coming up, which is our next online virtual conference. It's coming up in mid-August. It's about 3 weeks away, maybe, or 4 weeks, something like that. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. So join us if you possibly can at pastellive.com. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur Plein Air Magazine. And thanks again to the Dreamliners and everybody in there. Make sure that you leave comments so you can win a subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur. And if you don't win one, just go ahead and get one. You'll never regret it. Thank you. Bye-bye.